You know, when people say, follow your dreams, but then judge you the second you actually try to make something of yourself. That's exactly what happened to me. And honestly, I'm still processing how one opportunity could flip my entire world upside down. I'm Sasha. I'm 26. And I live in Dallas with my boyfriend Finn. Well, lived. It's complicated. We've been together almost 2 years. And until recently, everything was pretty perfect. We met through mutual friends at this house party, and he was just easy to be with. Finn works in video editing, freelance stuff mostly, and I do photography when I can get clients. We had this comfortable routine, making breakfast together, watching movies, just existing in our little bubble. But here's the thing nobody tells you about comfortable. It doesn't pay the bills or get you anywhere in life. While I was taking engagement photos for $150 a session, other girls my age were building actual careers online. That's when I discovered TikTok. And not just watching it like everyone else, but actually posting content. My first video was literally just me making my morning coffee, showing how I use this specific oat milk brand, and it got 800 views. 800 strangers chose to spend 30 seconds watching me pour milk into a mug. Something clicked. I started posting more, little day in my life vlogs, thrift hauls, aesthetic bookshelf tours. Most got a few hundred views. But then I posted this tarot reading video that completely blew up. 20,000 views overnight. The comments were insane. People calling me their spiritual bestie, asking for personal readings, saying I had this calming energy they needed in their lives. For the first time ever, I felt like I mattered to people beyond just my immediate circle. I wasn't just Finn's girlfriend or someone's photographer. I was actually connecting with thousands of people who chose to follow my content. That's when I found Luna Martinez. She's this girl who went on a YouTube dating show called Heart Connections last year. Think Love Island, but with a smaller budget and way more authentic feel. Luna spent 1 week on that show, didn't even win, but gained 20 followers. Now she's doing sponsored posts with skincare brands, getting sent free makeup, building an actual business around her personality. She took one calculated risk and completely transformed her life. Meanwhile, I'm posting the same content to the same few hundred followers, watching girls with half my personality blow up because they had the right exposure moment. It started eating at me. Why should Luna get opportunities I don't? Why should I stay small when I know I have something to offer? Finn didn't understand the frustration. He'd come home from his editing sessions, see me researching successful influencers, and make little comments about how I was getting obsessed with social media. But this wasn't obsession. This was recognizing that the world had changed. You can't just wait for opportunities anymore. You have to create them. I started studying everything about influencer marketing, engagement strategies, what makes content go viral. The girls who succeeded weren't necessarily the prettiest or most talented. They were the ones who took risks, who put themselves out there in ways that most people were too scared to try. They understood that sometimes you have to bet on yourself even when everyone else thinks you're crazy. When Heart Connections announced they were casting for season 3, I knew this was my moment. 1 week of my life for the potential to completely change everything. But when I mentioned it to Finn, he looked at me like I'd suggested robbing a bank. You want to go on a dating show while you have a boyfriend? He asked, not even trying to hide how ridiculous he thought I was being. It's not about dating. I explained, it's about exposure, building a platform. Luna didn't actually date anyone. She was strategic about it. But he couldn't get past the concept. He kept making jokes about budget reality TV and asking if I was planning to make out with random guys for followers. He wasn't taking my career seriously at all. This wasn't some quarter-life crisis. This was me recognizing an opportunity that could change both our lives. I tried to explain that influencer marketing is a real industry now. Brands are spending millions on partnerships with content creators. Girls my age are buying houses with their TikTok earnings. But Finn saw it as vanity, like I just wanted attention instead of trying to build something sustainable. The more I researched the show, the more convinced I became that this was exactly what I needed. The casting process was intense. Video submissions, phone interviews, background checks. They wanted girls who could bring authentic storylines and genuine personality. I knew I had what they were looking for. I've always been good with people, natural on camera, good at reading social situations. When I told Finn I was applying, he went completely quiet, not angry exactly, just disappointed, like I was choosing to embarrass him personally. But this wasn't about him. This was about me finally taking control of my own future instead of just existing in whatever life happened to fall into my lap. I filled out the application anyway. Part of me hoped that if I actually got selected, it would show him how serious and legitimate this opportunity was. Maybe he'd realize that I wasn't just some girl chasing internet fame. I was someone with real potential who deserved a shot at building something bigger. The waiting period was brutal. They said they'd notify applicants within 6 weeks. And every day I checked my email obsessively. Finn stopped asking about it, which somehow made everything worse. He'd just give me these looks when he caught me on my phone, like I was wasting time on something completely pointless. 3 weeks later, I got the email, subject line, Heart Connections, Season 3, congratulations. I screenshot it immediately and sent it to Finn without any explanation. I needed him to see that this was real, that I was good enough to be chosen out of thousands of applicants. He didn't respond for 2 hours. When he finally called, his voice was flat. So you're really doing this? I got accepted. Finn, do you know how competitive this is? I know what I told you would happen if you went through with it. That's when I realized he'd been serious about his ultimatum. I honestly thought he was just being dramatic, trying to scare me out of applying. We'd been together almost 2 years. You don't throw away a real relationship over 1 week of television. But apparently, he did. The next 2 days were horrible. He ignored my texts, wouldn't answer calls, basically treated me like I didn't exist. I knew he was trying to manipulate me into backing out. But it just confirmed that he'd never really supported my ambitions in the first place. A partner who truly loved me would want me to take opportunities that could change our lives for the better. When I finally went to his apartment to talk, I found all my stuff boxed up by the door. My hoodies, my books, my camera equipment, even my favorite mug that I kept there. Everything just sitting in cardboard boxes like I was some stranger he was evicting. What is this? I asked. Even though it was obvious, I told you what would happen, he said, not even looking at me. You chose the show over us. I chose my future over staying small for your comfort. We ended up standing in his doorway for almost 2 hours, both of us crying, both refusing to compromise. I kept thinking he'd come to his senses, remember what we meant to each other, realize how unfair he was being. But he just kept repeating that I'd made my choice by applying, like wanting more for myself was somehow a betrayal. I tried everything. What if I went on the show but mentioned having a boyfriend off camera? What if I was strategic about it and didn't participate in the romantic aspects? But he wasn't interested in finding solutions. He wanted me to give up this opportunity so he could feel secure. And when I wouldn't, he was done. In the end, I loaded my boxes into my car and drove back to my studio apartment. Officially single and officially accepted to appear on a dating show. It should have felt like freedom, like finally choosing myself over someone else's limitations. Instead, it just felt empty. But I'd made my decision. And I wasn't going to let his narrow mindset hold me back from the life I deserved to build. 3 months after that awful breakup conversation, I still haven't heard anything beyond the initial acceptance email. Turns out, getting accepted doesn't mean you actually get cast. They accept way more people than they need, then narrow it down based on chemistry tests, final interviews, and last-minute production decisions. Every morning, I wake up thinking, maybe today will be the day they call for final casting. Meanwhile, I'm back to posting the same content to the same small audience, watching my view counts hover around 300 to 500 per video. It's frustrating as hell, especially knowing I gave up my relationship for this opportunity that's starting to feel less and less real. The worst part is how our mutual friends have been acting. They keep asking if I regret my decision, always with this tone, like they already know the answer. A few of them mentioned that Finn's been telling people I couldn't handle his lack of ambition, which is completely backward. I was trying to build something better for both of us, while he was content just existing in the same routine forever. Sarah, who introduced us originally, actually had the nerve to ask if I thought I'd made a mistake. Like I should be grateful to have been with someone who actively discouraged me from pursuing opportunities. He really loved you. Sasha, she said, maybe the show thing wasn't worth losing that. But that's exactly the problem. His version of love meant staying small. Real love would have meant supporting my dreams, even if he didn't understand them. Instead, he gave me an ultimatum designed to keep me trapped in his comfort zone. I posted a video about the breakup a few weeks ago. Nothing dramatic. Just being honest with you guys about what I'm going through. It was the first time I'd been completely real about my personal life. And the response was incredible. The video got 15. 0 views, my highest ever. And hundreds of comments from girls saying they'd been in similar situations. You chose yourself over settling, and that's inspiring. One comment said, so many women stay in relationships that don't support their growth. Your ex sounds like he was holding you back anyway. You deserve someone who celebrates your ambition. The right person will want to see you succeed, not keep you small. Reading those comments felt like validation I'd been desperately needing. For months, everyone in my real life had been making me feel crazy for prioritizing my future over maintaining a relationship that wasn't serving me. But these girls got it. They understood that sometimes you have to risk everything to build the life you actually want. The video's success also proved something important. I do have what it takes to create content that resonates with people. I just need the right platform to reach a bigger audience. The dating show would have been perfect for that. But there are other opportunities, other ways to build a following and turn it into something meaningful. I started researching other reality shows, other casting calls, other ways to get exposure. There's a new travel show looking for adventurous singles, a competition series about entrepreneurs, even a documentary about young women chasing unconventional careers. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket anymore. Meanwhile, Finn seems perfectly content with his small life. I drove past his apartment complex last week, and his car was there at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Probably just sitting at his computer, editing some corporate video, completely satisfied with making just enough money to pay his bills and buy groceries. No ambition beyond his monthly routine. And honestly, good for him. Some people are built for that kind of existence. But I've always known I was meant for something bigger. Even as a kid, I dreamed of being someone who mattered, someone whose life inspired other people to take risks and chase their own dreams. The hardest part is feeling like I'm behind. Every day I see girls my age building massive followings, getting brand deals, creating businesses around their personalities. Luna just announced she's launching her own wellness brand. Crystals, candles, guided meditations. She went from working retail to building an empire, all because she was brave enough to put herself on reality TV for 1 week. That could still be me. I just need to stay patient and keep putting myself out there until something sticks. The dating show was just one opportunity. There will be others. What really bothers me is how everyone expects me to regret choosing my potential over Finn's limitations. Like I should be grateful for the stability of a relationship that required me to stay small. But I'd rather be single and chasing my dreams than coupled and trapped in someone else's narrow vision of what life should look like. I'm not giving up. I'm not settling. And I'm definitely not apologizing for believing I deserve more than soup and Netflix for the rest of my life. Oh, it's been 8 months since everything exploded. And I'm starting to realize that maybe the dating show was never going to happen. They sent a generic rejection email 3 weeks ago. Thank you for your interest. But we've decided to go with other contestants for this season. After all that waiting, all the content I created around manifesting this opportunity, it just didn't work out. But I'm not dwelling on it. There are other shows, other opportunities. I've applied to 6 different reality programs and 2 documentary projects. Someone will recognize my potential eventually. The real kick in the teeth came last month when I found out Finn is dating someone new. Her name is Jenna. She works in customer service somewhere. And she's exactly what you'd expect him to choose. Completely basic. Zero social media presence beyond the occasional family photo. Perfectly content with her little paycheck and her little life. She's everything I refuse to be. Small, satisfied, invisible. I only found out because Sarah posted a photo from some dinner party where they all hung out. Finn and this girl sitting there looking normal, happy, I guess. Like they're perfectly satisfied with their grocery store dates and movie nights at home. It's almost insulting how ordinary she is. Like he deliberately chose the most opposite person he could find just to prove some point about how I was too much for him. The worst part is seeing how our entire friend group has embraced her. Sarah's already posting stories with Jenna like they're best friends, calling her such a sweetheart and perfect for Finn. Like they're all relieved he's with someone who won't challenge him or expect him to grow or support her in building anything meaningful. I tried to be mature about it. I really did. But when I saw them at Target together, him pushing the cart while she compared generic brand cereals, something in me just snapped. They looked so satisfied with their mediocre little life, so content with existing instead of building something that matters. I may have posted a story that night about people who mistake settling for stability. And yeah, maybe it was petty. But watching someone you spent 2 years with choose the most basic possible replacement for you kind of proves that he never deserved your ambition in the first place. The comments on that post were mixed. Some girls agreed that he'd obviously downgraded, but others called me bitter and said I should focus on my own happiness. Easy for them to say when they're not watching their ex parade around with someone who represents everything you refuse to become. My content has been getting darker lately, not intentionally. But when you're dealing with rejection and watching other people settle into comfortable little lives while you're still fighting for something bigger, it's hard to stay positive. My letting go to glow up video did well, but the comments have been more concerned than supportive. Are you okay? You seem really angry lately. Maybe take a break from social media and focus on healing. This energy feels really negative. Your old content was more inspiring, but this is my career. I can't just take a break from building my future because some people can't handle authenticity. Real life isn't always positive and inspiring. Sometimes it's messy and frustrating and raw. That's what makes content relatable. I've been thinking about doing a whole series on choosing yourself over settling, really diving deep into why some people are willing to stay small for the illusion of security. There's clearly an audience for it, based on how my breakup content performed. Maybe I can turn this whole experience into something that actually helps other women avoid the same mistakes I made. The dating show Rejection stung, but it also clarified something important. I can't wait for other people to give me opportunities. I need to create my own platform, build my own audience, make my own chances. Luna got her start on reality TV, but plenty of successful influencers built their followings from nothing. I've been studying the girls who made it without traditional exposure. They posted consistently, stayed authentic to their message, and refused to compromise their vision just because growth was slow. That's what I need to do. Stop waiting for external validation and start creating content that's so good, so real, so necessary that people can't ignore it. Finn can keep his basic girlfriend and his comfortable little life. Some of us were meant for more than grocery store dates and splitting the electric bill. Some of us were meant to actually inspire people, to build something that matters, to leave a mark on the world that's bigger than just existing. I'm not bitter. I'm focused. And I'm definitely not settling for the kind of small life that apparently makes other people so happy. Ayurista, it's been over a year now since I made the decision that everyone likes to call my big mistake. Finn and his girlfriend are still together, still posting their little date nights and grocery shopping trips like they've discovered the secret to happiness. Good for them, honestly. I hope they're very content with their shared Netflix account and their monthly budget meetings. Meanwhile, I'm still here, still creating, still building towards something bigger than what most people can even imagine for themselves. My follower count isn't where I want it yet. I'm sitting around 800 followers across platforms. But that's because I refuse to compromise my message just to chase numbers like everyone else. I could post thirst traps and dance trends like every other basic girl on TikTok. But I'm trying to build something authentic, something that actually matters. My content is real. It's raw. It's about the genuine experience of choosing yourself over settling for less than you deserve. That's not going to appeal to everyone, but it's going to deeply resonate with the right people. The problem is that most people aren't ready for that level of honesty. They want their content sanitized and comfortable, just like they want their lives sanitized and comfortable. They'd rather watch someone pretend their basic relationship is perfect than engage with someone who's brave enough to show what it looks like to actually fight for your dreams. I still get comments on my breakup video from girls saying I inspired them to leave situations that weren't serving them. That means something. Maybe I didn't get the dating show. Maybe I didn't get the relationship that supported my vision. But I got my freedom. I got the chance to build something entirely my own without having to make myself smaller to fit into someone else's limited idea of what my life should look like. Last month, I found out that Jenna moved in with Finn. Sarah posted a story about helping them nest in his apartment, showing off their shared bookshelf and their matching coffee mugs like it's some kind of accomplishment. They look so proud of their little domestic setup, so satisfied with their weekend trips to Home Depot and their shared grocery lists. It should bother me more than it does. But honestly, it just confirms that I made the right choice. That could have been me, playing house and pretending that splitting utility bills was the height of romantic achievement. Instead, I'm out here actually trying to create something meaningful. Something that could inspire other women to expect more from their lives. The comments on that post were telling too. All our mutual friends gushing about how perfect they are together, how healthy their relationship looks, how happy Finn seems now. Like his happiness is somehow proof that I was the problem all along. That he's better off without someone who expected him to grow alongside her. But here's what they don't understand. Anyone can look happy when they're not challenging themselves or each other. Anyone can seem healthy when they're both content to stay exactly where they are forever. Real growth requires friction. Real love means supporting each other's evolution, even when it's uncomfortable. I've been thinking about reaching out to some of the bigger influencers who started from nothing. Maybe doing collaboration videos or getting advice on how to break through to the next level. The algorithm is tricky, but it's not impossible. I just need to find the right strategy, the right content angle that makes people pay attention. There's also this new app launching for content creators that's supposed to be less corporate than TikTok, more focused on authentic storytelling. I'm planning to be one of the first users. Really establish myself on the platform before it gets oversaturated with the same recycled content that's everywhere else. The key is consistency and authenticity. I'm not going to compromise my message or pretend to be someone I'm not just to gain followers faster. The right audience will find me eventually. And when they do, they'll appreciate that I stayed true to my vision instead of chasing trends. Sometimes, I wonder what would have happened if Finn had supported my dreams instead of trying to limit them. Would we have built something amazing together? Would I be further along in my career with someone who actually believed in my potential? But those are pointless questions. You can't build a future with someone who's committed to staying in the past. What matters is that I chose myself. I chose growth over comfort, possibility over certainty, dreams over settling. Not everyone has the courage to make that choice. And that's fine. But I'm not going to apologize for believing I deserve more than soup and Netflix for the rest of my life. The right opportunities will come. The right audience will find me. And when they do, all of this struggle will have been worth it, because I'll have built something real, something authentic, something that actually matters, instead of just existing in someone else's small idea of what happiness should look like. Earth said 2 years. It's been 2 full years since I made the choice that apparently defines me in everyone's mind. And honestly, I'm exhausted by how everyone still wants to rehash it. Yes, I applied to a dating show while I had a boyfriend. Yes, he broke up with me over it. Yes, I'd make the same decision again. But nobody wants to talk about what's happened since then. Nobody wants to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, I was right about needing to bet on myself. My content has evolved. I'm not just posting random lifestyle stuff anymore. I've found my niche in motivational content for women who refuse to settle. My follower count is still growing slowly, but the engagement is incredible. I get messages every week from girls saying my videos help them leave toxic situations or pursue opportunities their families didn't support. Last month, I posted a video about the friends who disappear when you outgrow your old life, and it got 25 Waro views. The comments were full of women sharing similar experiences, how choosing growth over comfort cost them relationships, but led to better opportunities. That's the kind of content that actually matters, not whatever basic couples post about their grocery shopping adventures. Speaking of which, Finn and Jenna got engaged 3 months ago. Sarah made sure to tag me in her congratulations post, probably hoping I'd see how happy they look together. The ring is exactly what you'd expect. Simple, practical, probably cost exactly what he budgeted for after calculating his monthly expenses. Vary them. The engagement photos are peak basic couple aesthetic. Them laughing in a field, holding hands, walking down some random street. The classic surprised kiss shot that every photographer suggests. She's wearing this flowy dress that screams, "I bought this specifically for engagement photos," and he's in his standard button-down and khakis. They look like stock photo models for average American couple achieves modest dreams. What really got me was the caption Jenna wrote. "So grateful for a love that's steady, supportive, and real. Can't wait to build our quiet little life together." Like she's specifically describing everything I apparently wasn't. The dig is subtle, but obvious to anyone who knows the history. I may have posted a story that same day about women who mistake mediocrity for stability. And yeah, some people thought it was about them, but it wasn't, not really. It was about a mindset that I genuinely don't understand, being so afraid of disappointment that you actively choose the most boring possible outcome for your life. The wedding is apparently happening next summer. Small ceremony. Probably at some generic venue with mason jar centerpieces and string lights. Sarah's already posting about dress shopping and bachelorette party planning like it's the social event of the century. I'm sure they'll register for matching dinnerware sets and probably a coffee maker that costs exactly what they budgeted for kitchen appliances. Here's what's funny though. I don't actually care about the engagement itself. What bothers me is how everyone treats it like some kind of victory over me personally. Like Finn winning by finding someone who fits perfectly into his small world somehow proves I was wrong for wanting more. But look at the facts. I'm building a career around inspiring other women to choose themselves over settling. I'm creating content that actually impacts people's lives. I'm working towards something meaningful instead of just existing in whatever life happened to fall into my lap. Meanwhile, they're planning a wedding that will probably be forgotten by everyone, except them within 6 months. My latest video series about redefining success in your 20s has been performing really well. I talk about how society pressures women to measure their worth by relationship status instead of personal growth. How we're taught to prioritize other people's comfort over our own potential. The comments are always full of women thanking me for saying what they couldn't articulate themselves. That's impact. That's building something that matters. Not everyone understands that kind of ambition, and that's fine. But I refuse to apologize for believing I was meant for more than splitting grocery bills with someone who thinks dreams are just pretty ideas you're supposed to outgrow. I've also been working on a podcast idea, interviewing women who chose unconventional paths, who prioritize their potential over other people's expectations. There's clearly an audience for that content. Based on how my solo videos perform, it could be really powerful to create a platform where women can share those stories without judgment. The influencer space is getting more competitive, but it's also getting more authentic. People are tired of the same recycled content from girls who all post the same poses with the same captions. There's room for voices that are actually saying something, that are brave enough to challenge the narrative about what women should want from their lives. Sometimes I think about reaching out to Finn directly. Not to reconcile or anything dramatic like that, but just to see if he ever thinks about the path not taken. Does he ever wonder what we could have built together if he'd supported my ambitions instead of trying to limit them? Does he ever feel like he settled for safety over possibility? But then, I remember that he's probably perfectly happy with his choice. Some people genuinely want quiet, predictable lives. They want shared Netflix passwords and weekend trips to Target and the same restaurants every Friday night. That's not wrong. It's just not for everyone. I'm not bitter about any of it anymore. I'm grateful. Actually, that ultimatum forced me to choose myself in a way I might never have had the courage to do otherwise. It taught me that I can't build a meaningful life by making myself smaller to fit into other people's comfort zones. The right person will want to grow alongside me, not hold me back. The right opportunities will come to someone who refuses to give up on herself. And the right audience will appreciate content that's brave enough to challenge them instead of just making them feel comfortable about their ordinary choices. 2 years later, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, building something authentic, something that matters, something that's entirely mine. It's been 3 years now, and I finally understand what everyone meant when they said I'd figure it out eventually, not in the way they thought. Though, they expected me to realize I'd made a mistake, to regret choosing my ambitions over Finn's ultimatum. Instead, I've realized something much more important. Some dreams aren't worth chasing, and some people aren't worth changing for. My follower count peaked at 200 last year, and has been steadily dropping since. The motivational content that felt so important, so necessary, just isn't connecting the way I thought it would. Comments have shifted from supportive to concerned to mostly non-existent. My latest video got 89 views and 3 comments, one of which was my mom telling me she's proud of me no matter what. The podcast idea never happened. Turns out interviewing women about choosing unconventional paths requires finding women who've actually succeeded on those paths. And most of the ones who don't need my platform. The ones who are still struggling, like me, don't have stories inspiring enough to build a show around. Finn and Jenna got married last summer. I wasn't invited, obviously, but Sarah posted enough photos that I saw the whole thing anyway. It was exactly what I expected. Mason jars, string lights, her in a simple dress that probably came from David's bridal. Him in a gray suit that fit perfectly because he's never gained or lost a pound since college. They looked happy in that uncomplicated way that used to irritate me, but now just looks peaceful. The wedding photos show all our old friends laughing and dancing together, celebrating a love that everyone describes as real and genuine and built to last. Looking at those images, I realized something that's been sitting in my chest for months. I'm not part of that world anymore. Somewhere along the way, while I was busy building my authentic platforming, I lost the only authentic relationships I actually had. Sarah stopped reaching out about a year ago. We'd text occasionally, service level stuff. But it became clear that she didn't know how to relate to me anymore. The last conversation we had, she asked if I was doing okay in that careful tone people use when they think you're not, but don't want to say it directly. I'm building something, I told her. It takes time. I know, she said. I just miss the old you sometimes. The old me. Like personal growth is somehow a betrayal of who I used to be. Like choosing ambition over comfort meant I'd become someone unrecognizable. But maybe she was right. Maybe I have changed, just not in the way I thought I was changing. I moved back in with my parents 6 months ago, not because I'm giving up on my dreams, but because rent in Dallas got impossible on a photographer's income, especially when you're spending all your time creating content instead of booking actual clients. My dad helped me move my stuff without asking too many questions, though I caught him exchanging looks with my mom when he thought I wasn't paying attention. "How's the social media thing going?" he asked while loading boxes into his truck. "It's a process," I said, which has become my standard answer for everything. My old bedroom feels smaller than I remembered. The walls are still painted the pale yellow I picked in high school. Back when I thought college would automatically lead to some clear, successful life path. Now I'm 29, sleeping in a twin bed. posting videos to an audience that shrinks every week, wondering when exactly I became the cautionary tale my friends probably tell at dinner parties. The hardest part isn't the failure itself. It's the slow realization that maybe everyone else was right about what actually matters. Not about settling or limiting myself, but about understanding the difference between dreams worth pursuing and fantasies that keep you from building a real life. I still post occasionally, but my heart isn't in it anymore. The content feels hollow, like I'm performing a version of myself that I'm not sure actually exists. The comments that do come are mostly from people who feel sorry for me, which is somehow worse than getting no comments at all. Last week, I saw Finn at the grocery store, not the one near my parents' house, but the Target where he and Jenna used to shop together. The one I used to judge them for finding satisfaction in. He was alone, probably running errands after work. And he looked good, older, more settled, but genuinely content in a way I'd forgotten was possible. He saw me too, hesitated for a second, then walked over with a smile that seemed completely genuine. "Sasha, how are you?" "Good," I said automatically. "Really good. Just visiting my parents." We talked for maybe 5 minutes. He mentioned that Jenna got a promotion at work, that they bought a house last year, that they're thinking about getting a dog, normal life updates that once would have seemed painfully ordinary, but now sound like actual accomplishments. Building something stable, something that grows naturally instead of being forced. "What about you?" he asked. "Still doing the content creation thing?" "Yeah," I said, though it felt like lying. "Still working on that." He nodded like he believed me. Or at least like he was kind enough to pretend to believe me. "That's great. I always knew you'd figure out how to make it work." After he walked away, I stood in the cereal aisle for 10 minutes, holding a box of generic brand cornflakes and trying not to cry. Not because I missed him exactly, but because seeing him reminded me of what it felt like to be happy without having to prove anything to anyone. The truth I've been avoiding for months is this. I chose to chase something that was never really there, not just the influencer career, but the idea that I was somehow special enough to deserve a different kind of life than everyone else. That believing I was meant for more automatically meant I was meant for better. But maybe the life I had was already good. Maybe making soup with someone who loved me was actually more valuable than inspiring strangers on the internet. Maybe Finn's version of support, wanting me to be happy with what we had together, wasn't limitation, but wisdom. I'm not giving up entirely. I'll keep posting. Keep trying to build something meaningful. But I'm also going to start applying for regular jobs. Maybe try to rebuild some of the relationships I sacrificed for an audience that was never as invested in me as I thought they were. 3 years later, I finally understand what everyone was trying to tell me. Some dreams are worth everything, and some dreams cost everything. The trick is learning the difference before it's too late to choose differently. I'm not sure which category mine fell into, but I'm starting to suspect I know the answer.